Everybody, welcome back to Hot Shot Holonet episode 2. We're here with Sharkey, who just came back from the Portland sector. Buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty dang good. Carlos, how you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. Tell me, how was the event? We see that Palpatine took this thing down, but like, how did you enjoy mid-range CAD? How was the event? Tell me everything.
I loved the event. The main event ran smoothly. It was a good time. The only complaint that I have is that the ballroom started to feel like a bit of a sauna towards the end of the day. And there was very little AC. And if that's my only complaint, then it was fine. The deck performed very well. The player piloting it performed decently, and everything else was a good time.
I did see you on stream. You were on stream.
The stream curse continues for me still, but if it weren't for that, everything would be great.
I did see you there and was rooting for you, of course, in the chat.
I appreciate that.
Watching all weekend, glued. I'm like, that's the one thing I really enjoy about if I'm not going into an event is just if somebody's streaming, just sitting down, getting good lunch, getting good food, and just watching and rooting my friends on.
Yeah, I'm going to do that this weekend with the sectors coming up. So yeah, it was a good time. I liked it. I had a fun time. I got to meet some cool people. All things considered, it was one of the better tournament experiences that I've had. Fantastic.
And of course, we do have, a leader who is our target and it showed this weekend. It was the most popular leader out there. It is the boogeyman of the format right now, post force throw, and it's back in action. And let's touch upon who this is. All right. Oh, we're getting a transmission going.
Gotta get it. Gotta get the transmission in. Yeah, look at that.
Oh boy.
This is in no way influenced by my loss on stream to this particular leader. Man, actually, I think we have some pretty good tools to handle this leader, even if they didn't always show up when I was playing against him this time.
But this is a guy that you're going to be seeing constantly, and I think it's pretty important to just get the reps against this leader. This leader is, even though that there are moments that we do have great matchups against it, I would say you're probably favored 60-40. But there are definitely situations where you can kind of get behind if you don't draw the answers that you need or you break on a certain turn. But this is a leader it's the most popular. It's going to continue being the most popular because it's playing the best cards a turn earlier. Is really the reason why.
He's very much I would say the power spike of this particular leader isn't really a spike so much as it's the consistency. Pretty much every game you're going to be playing a curve that is wider than everybody else's curve, and you have access to some pretty big bombs towards the top of it. So last week's Puck Spotlight worked so well that we don't even see him represented in the win percentage column much this week, whereas hopefully we can do that same thing. Everybody start collecting those bounties on Han Solo number 2.
Exactly. And let's take a look at a deck list. I think this gentleman here, Dylan Summer, man, shout out to this guy. This guy went on one of the biggest tears I've ever seen starting out. I mean, he went undefeated the first day, I believe so, and he didn't take his first game loss until probably I think the second round of the second day, and then finally he took his first loss. I mean, this guy was a clean sheet, 2-0 almost everybody. Pretty impressive.
He was cooking. Yeah. And the thing about this particular list is it's not super far off of what you would have seen at Galactics, right? They decided to split 2 and 2 on the Power of the Dark Side and the Force Lightning, which is interesting. Some of them that I have seen have picked one or the other to go 3 of. But running both of them isn't super far out of the realm of expectation. The interesting tech for me was the Hot Shot Blaster inclusion that a lot of other Hans weren't running, although I did run into one that was using it, but that seems to be becoming popular among the Han 2 Blues as well, just as a action cheat and a little bit extra damage pump that you can get from playing units above curve. So once you already have a board presence, put this down and do even more damage.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that Dylan used the Hot Shot quite a few times, and it really closed games out of nowhere. Really shortened the clock a lot more than usual. I think that's really amazing. And I think you do see I think Hans were already running entrenched, But just to be able to see entrench more in this deck, now you're really cutting, you're not worrying too much about space. Because I think you still have to worry about Han 1 coming back and having like Falcon or Hauler plus Chewie. Now you can just say, hey, I'm going to entrench your guy. I don't have to worry about it. And they can really clog down the ground arena. I think
it's definitely a good answer to those.
Yeah, and I think Grenade Strike was another one that was pretty good. Instead of Bombing Run, that he's able to handle. Like, maybe it probably is for Vader, probably is for Cad.
I think it has double duty in this case.
Yeah. But this is one of those decks that, I mean, look at their curve. Like, I think what gives me the most trouble sometimes is where they can go really wide really quick and they can refill the board.
Well, that's also one of them, but the other option that they have here is that they have so many things that are equivalently turn one that it's really hard for them to brick a turn one play because they can play below curve. Now, in the case of what they would use against us, they're a little bit more limited just because of the ping target town nature of the deck, but that doesn't change the fact that they have a lot of options to both go wide and tall, and the consistency of the leader ability makes it so that this deck is definitely one that you should not be forgetting about.
Exactly, and I actually realized too that who this gentleman is, Dylan, is. I played him many a times in Petronaki now because I figured out what his Discord, his melee name, and I go, oh, I know who he is. I'm positive win rate too.
Oh yeah, of course. You have to make sure you screenshot every time too now.
Yeah. Well, of course, we'll break down, of course, tools. But first things first, though, we do have to talk about our sponsor. We did so well in our first episode. We are working with another product out here, and I want to introduce everyone to, of course, by Outer Rim Overstock and Protection Company. This is our Deflector Disc Deluxe. Keep the heat off your hide. Thinking blast. If only I had a personal shield right about now. Well, your prayers to the Force, or rather your credits to the nearest reputable dealer, have been answered. Introducing the one and only, the magnificent Deflector Disc Deluxe. That's right. Those pesky laser blasts ruining your perfect good dusters, no problem, no more. The Deflector Disc Deluxe is their ultimate personal bodyguard. This isn't your grandpa's flimsy ray shield, no sir. The DDD, for you less savvy types, generates a compact, customizable energy barrier that'll bounce back everything from a standard blast bolt to, well, let's just say it handles particularly aggressive Jawas surprisingly well. Make sure to let people know that Cad sent you. All right. Well, hey, man, you've used this equipment yourself. What do you think of this, Sharky?
It's a miracle, actually. Putting a shield onto certain things can keep them alive for the rest of the game. Cad Bane himself would be really tough to take down without it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about weapons check. And I do want to start kind of letting people know that we're going to be kind of integrating a little bit of both mid-range and, of course, one-drop Cad. I think a lot of people want to know, oh, what's the best build right now? What's the best position right now? And I think, like, you are a very big fan of the mid-range. You know, obviously I've played traditional Cad for the longest time, but now I am very much in the one drop camp at the moment. But in your estimation, what do you think about some of these tools here?
So some of these tools are very clearly split between the mid-range and the one drops, and I think that both decks have tools to handle this bounty to collect. The mid-range one specifically that I found, and I included and found that the data backed it up, is that Tip the Scale can be very, very useful against a lot of things, but in particular Han 2 Blue. So one of the things that I found in testing is that one of the only ways that I was getting consistently beaten was getting Cad cleanly taken care of on his flip turn. One of the best ways now that Han 2s are doing that is to include a Rival's Fall in their game plan. So on Cad Bane's flip turn, you can tip the scale, and you can then follow that up with a Relentless Pursuit, which we'll talk about in a minute, or a Hot Shot Blaster, or a 4-drop unit. Like, there's a lot of options there, but you can just go ahead and get a look at the hand, get an idea of what you're going up against, get rid of any problematic events that are there, and continue on your day.
That's right.
The other tool to talk about, though, is the previously mentioned Relentless Pursuit. And as I mentioned a minute ago, Cad Bane with a shield with a large 8 health butt is really tough to get rid of. So if you're already ripping out their defeat leader unit card and then you flip and then they try to do something like Anakin as the backup plan, you can then Relentless Pursuit with Cad Bane to capture Anakin, and suddenly their Han Solo unit that's on the field can't kill Cad anymore either, and you're kind of off to the races because they have trouble dealing with him. So those are the two tools that I bring from the mid-range side.
Yeah, from the one-drop side, I think Criminal Muscle is one of my favorite, like, little card. I remember this guy from, like, very popular in Django. Like, this Django, like, one-drop build. But basically, Criminal Muscle, right? If you are starting the one-drop, your ideal opening starter is 2 one-drops. You could start with a Guavian or starting with a Greedo, but if they ever start with a shielded 2/2 guy, the Sage, Criminal Muscle right here comes in, takes care of the shield, does the 1 damage, and then of course you have Tarkin Town that you can use to start keeping them off the Force. I think one of the biggest things, that's the most important thing, is to keep them off the Force in the early game, so that in the mid game you're just a lot more smoother and better, and they haven't gotten an advantage too much out of like Chirrut or Ki-Adi-Mundi. So this little guy has been super important. I even think Guavian is so good where you can just play Guavian turn 1. They play the Sage, I just claim, and immediately attack, kill the guy.
Give him a bop.
Yep, and then from there you can kind of navigate your turn. Talk a little bit about Tarkin Town, how important this guy is.
This might become a running theme of this show, actually, by the end of this one. So, Tarkin Town is another important one, except that the interesting part about this is it's a tool for both decks. Use your Tarkin Town wisely. Now, at least in the mid-range's case, you don't have to Tarkin Town the first unit. You can, but knowing Han too, depending on what they're playing, they're going to be playing usually units that are above the curve, but they're going to take extra damage on it. So if you can find a way to keep them either, if they're going to get the Force no matter what you do, or it's not a huge deal that they have the Force, allow them to get it once and save your Tarkin Town for something bigger, or make them have to play around the fact that you do have Tarkin Town. Being able to do 3 damage to a damaged unit in a match where the opposing leader to use their ability is damaging all the units is actually a very good way to at least threaten making them play fair.
Yeah, I agree. I think in the one-drop version, I think I'm a little bit more... I can Tarkin Town turn 1, but I'm a little bit more aware of that. I don't want to get in a situation where I have a bunch of one-drops and I don't have an answer to a Chirrut. And I think the biggest thing for me is 7. 7 is the number, like the magic number, in order to take care of Chirrut in one shot. And sometimes, like, yeah, you might have little 2 1s, 2 3s, Greedo maybe, but I'm very well aware that I don't want to get in a situation where I can't get through that Chirrut and I'm have to either throw away some units or have to wait another turn until Cad can deal with it. And so that's one of the things you have to really weigh and see if you have a McClunky in hand in order for, okay, maybe I can deal with Chirrut that way.
Yep. It's a good way to do it.
Well, how exciting is it that we are about 29 days away from the release of Secrets of Power. And we have some previews, right? We have some cards that we want to kind of highlight and talk about. So let's see here. We have 3 cards here. And I know Sharky's very excited about, 2 out of 3 here. I think I'm the only one who's really big.
I'm excited about all 3. There's some interesting stuff coming for the underworld world in Secrets of Power.
But tell me about
there's also gonna be a lot more coming up. But like these are 3 of, I don't know, 12 odd cards that we're looking at. But like starting off with Sakatra, who I think that's how you say his name. This guy can cause havoc. You can attack, you can reveal a card, and if they don't pay you for it, you get to draw a card. One of the things that's already working very well, at least in Cad Midrange, is having Mist Hunter and Jabba being there to draw even more cards and more of your deck, so that way that you can find answers that you need. This guy just adds to that, and I don't know where the right stopping point is. It's going to be awesome just to be able to have all of your units draw you cards eventually, right? So you can play like a 60 card deck and still see your whole hand, or see your whole deck there in a game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting thing because it synergizes really well, right? Like if you have Greedo out there, if you have Mist Hunter out there, if you have this guy, there's a kind of a possible way where you have more information about what you have on top of your deck, which if they don't pay, they might think to yourselves, oh, I'll leave this like event on top. There's Greedo, guaranteed 5. Like 5 damage spread across there from Greedo and the flip. So I think he's an interesting guy. I wish he was a 3-5. You think it would be unfair if it was a 3-5?
Absolutely. As a 3-4, he's playing. He's going to be one of those pseudo sentinels that, frankly, if he had 5, I don't see how you wouldn't get jammed into every yellow deck in the first place.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Let alone a Cad Bane deck, right?
100%. All right. Second guy, Dryden Voss. Holy cow, this legendary. I think this legendary is going to be very, very super important. I think in one drop Cad, I see it being a very primary tool for a lot of combo decks. But let's see, he's a 2-5 Underworld. Says on attack, you may double this unit's power for this attack. If you do, this unit doesn't ready during the next regroup phase. So it's one of those pick your poison, right? If you have this out there, maybe you Hot Shot, that's a 4-5. Maybe you don't use that ability right there and then, but then your opponent has to probably early claim or have some kind of navigating that like next turn. This guy might hit for 8. And I think that's kind of like the game you can play is, am I going to do that or not? I mean, he's very aggressive. Yep.
Well, not only might he hit for 8, so if he's got the Hotshot Blaster on him on that resource turn like you're talking about, and if it ends up you're playing against a later deploy leader kind of thing, not only is he threatening the leader deploy because he can do 8 without any extra cards, but he could suddenly be, let's see, a surprise strike would make him a 7-5, dealing 14 damage on the next turn. So if you haven't dealt with him, he can get absolutely out of hand. I do think that there are some interesting niche uses for him, and those niche uses are extremely powerful. I don't know that he fits in just willy-nilly into any deck, kind of like Sakatra does, but I do think that if you build around him a little bit and put him in a position where they may have to make a bad choice, like kill Dryden or kill something that's also valuable for you, then he can absolutely see where the power of this card comes from, just because anytime you can double up on his attack, which is a lot of I like doubling. Doubling is big. It makes the numbers go up.
I hope there's like a very big pump spell or something out there that like, I don't know, says something about use this card, lose life equal to something. You can power something up, and then didn't they say there was a combo that you can do like 30 damage or something?
Yeah, I think they were talking about Death Try with that one, but in this case, it can still probably get there if you build it right.
All right, next card, last card here we'll talk about is Punishing One. Oh man, 5 cost ship is something that we're missing for sure, and this guy's pretty good transport. Tell me what you think about this.
So this one's interesting because of both when played and on attack. Sometimes one of the things that I've found, at least with like IG 2000, is it's nice to be able to direct the ping sometimes. Yes. And in this one, it lets you do that. It lets you direct a ping, and then Cad Bane will allow you to do another one. The fact that it gains raid for each damaged enemy unit, which is basically our game plan anyway, is just icing on the cake. It's probably not going to be a 3 of just because of the high cost of the card. But I do think that when this thing shows up, it can absolutely start wrecking a board. So this would be particularly good in matchups where you've survived this long against Darth Vader, so you're knocking out TIE fighters, or against other go wide decks so you can get the damage spread out a little bit as well. The 3-5 stat line is a little on the low side, but when the raid can pump it up pretty high, it's at least a high threat that the opponent will have to deal with.
Yeah, I think I just like the when played an attack because like you have your Cad ping as well. So, yep. If you can target something that hasn't been undamaged. If you have this and you have a Boba pilot, now you're looking at another ping based off because it's a transport. So that's 2 damage there, another damage on attack, and raid 1. I think it starts to add up. For sure. It
starts to add up very quickly, and yeah, there's lots of ways to deal incremental amounts of damage fairly quickly, especially on the 5-6 resource turn that we're starting to get.
Yeah, and if you follow Punishing One after you've already done IG2K, man, now you're cooking.
Yeah, agreed there.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining this episode. We will give a little Hantu Blue style list in the description below. We're also going to put in there what Sharky's list was for Portland sector. And if you have any questions or want to see anything for next episode, please put it in the comments, subscribe, and we will catch you next time.
Catch you on the other side, Bounty Hunters.